Okay, 9 o'clock. Let me welcome everyone to the Jackson County Board of Supervisors, March the 20th, 2023 meeting. We'll have our opening prayer by Supervisor Ross.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today and ask for your continued guidance and wisdom. We thank you for your grace and the gifts that you give us. We ask that you give us the perseverance and the wisdom to continue to make good decisions for our county and for our state. If we thank you for your grace. If y'all would follow with me in Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory.
Please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start things off with a public hearing. We have Ms. Sue Fairbanks from Butler Snow here. We'll make a presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. What we have for you today is approval of a redevelopment plan for the county. As you'll recall, a redevelopment plan is the initial step that you have to have in place prior to doing tax increment financing, either in unincorporated areas of the county or in the municipalities, and participating with a city in a tax increment financing. So you had already approved a redevelopment plan back in March of 2021, and this one amends and restates that plan and just adds some additional provisions to allow you to do additional things in a tax increment financing. At your February 21st board meeting, you set today for the public hearing for that, as required by statute, and we published notice of that. So we need to open a public hearing to see if there's anyone here to speak, against the plan or anything else. Your planning commission has reviewed that plan and approved it, so we're ready to go, after the public hearing.
Okay, so is there anyone here who would like to speak for the plan? Okay, is there anyone here who has negative comments about the plan? So silence is golden, I guess. We need a resolution?
Yes, sir. If you should have a resolution before you approving the plan.
I make a motion to approve the plan.
Got a motion by Mr. Bosarge. I will second it. Mr. Morris will second it. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sue?
Yes, sir.
The resolution where where the planning commission adopted it, has not been signed by the president yet, but they have passed it. It's in our office. They're going to sign it today, supposedly, and I can send it to you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, let's now move on to item number 5, amendments to the agenda. Mr. Cumbest?
I don't have any.
Mr. Morris?
I don't have anything.
I have none. Mr. Ross?
None.
Mr. Bosarge?
None.
Mr. Eldridge?
None.
Matthew Hosey sitting in for Brian Fulton.
Yes, need to pull item B from consent agenda under Board of Supervisors, the Longview International Tech Solutions agreement. They don't have enough of the kiosks that they originally planned for to install any at our building, so they said there's no need for an agreement.
Under consent, Board of Supervisors, item B.
Yes, sir.
Deleted. Mr. O'Neill.
I have 2 items. The first one is 9B under consent. Please remove the resolution from existing, and I passed out the correction. You should have it in front of you. And under 9D, under consent 2, I need to pull it.
D. D?
D.
D is in dog.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Evans,
None.
are there any others with amendments to the agenda? Okay, if not, then we'll need a motion to approve the amendments to the agenda. A motion by Mr. Cumbus. I'll second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. We'll go on to item number 6. We're going to talk about 3 properties. Did someone have something to say? No, that was a coffee cup sound. Okay. Item A is Bartlam Real Estate LLC, 1120 Lakeshore Drive in Slidell, Louisiana, 70461. This is PIN number 072-312-54.00. Is Bartlam Real Estate here or anyone to represent them?
Mr. President, I have .100 as my last 3. Is that what you have? On the parcel number, the last 3, what do you have?
Last 3, I have .100.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no one here from Bartlam? We'll redo that PIN 073, I'm sorry, 072-312-54.100.
Real Estate LLC.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Cumbus, seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Yeah.
We'll move to item B, Eddie Coleman, 3384 Her Street, North Pole, is that Arkansas, AK? That Arkansas or Alaska? Help. AK is Alaska, 99705. PIN number 010-300-30.058. Mr. Eddie Coleman. Anyone here for Mr. Coleman, representing Mr. Coleman? Okay, that's PIN number 101-300-30.058. Mr. Eddie Coleman. Okay, if not, we need a motion.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Ross.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cumbest. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to item C. This is Zelma F. White in care of David White, 112 Windy Lake Circle in Vicksburg, Mississippi, 39180. The PIN property number is 418-450-12.000. Ms. White, Mr. White, or anyone here to represent her? Okay, once again, it's PIN number 418-450-12.000. The Whites, Zelma or David. Okay, if not, we need a motion. I'll make the motion. Need a second? Seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And all three of those motions were to increase.
Sir?
I was just putting in the record that all three of those motions were to increase the assessment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 7, general public comments. Is there anyone here that would like to have a public comment? Please stand and come forward. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Come up and identify yourself, please.
My name is Andrea Sherman, and I live on Hinton Road, and I am concerned about the road maintenance on Caraway Road. This issue has been going on since the first time that I remember was around November of '21. The road was closed for maintenance. I'm assuming to widen it. We have been going down this road, and it's still not fixed. As of last Tuesday, the asphalt was grounded up. Now we're driving on pure asphalt that's grounded up, that's tearing up vehicles. I'm just curious of a timeline when this might be fixed.
Joe, could you step up so we can hear?
We started grinding the road last week, and they should finish today, and then they're gonna start shaping the road for us. So hopefully in 2 weeks, maybe we'll be done.
Okay. Is it?
Hang on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just slow down a little bit. And you
Oh, well, you can't go fast. You will tear up a vehicle.
And I know this has been a long process, but we've been waiting on the power company and the telephone company for a long time to get the power moved, and we're still waiting on the telephone company to move one line, before we get those last 2 poles up out of there.
It's just, like, I have a brand new vehicle that I drive, and I know, there's lots of people that live down that road.
Yeah,
It's tearing up vehicles.
Yeah,
So
I know.
we're just curious of when it might be a timeline of
We're
when we might have a
getting down to the
deadline.
end now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Sherman, for speaking up. We appreciate it. Okay, we'll move now to item number 8, the consent agenda as amended. We'll need a motion, please. Motion by Mr. Cumbus, seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion on the consent agenda? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Hey, Ken, I think there might have been somebody else for public comment.
I'm sorry. Was there other public comment? My apology if there is, I did not see your hand. Was there any other public comment? Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll now have consent number 2, and note that Supervisor Ross has left the meeting. We'll need a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion for, was that Cumbus or?
No, that was-
Mr. Bosarge. And we need a second. Seconded by Mr. Morris. Is there any discussion on consent agenda number 2? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Ross has returned to the meeting. We'll go to item number 10, department heads, Mr. Fulton, Mr. Hosey.
Yes, the item we have before you is travel, both required and discretionary.
Motion by Mr. Cumbus,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Finance.
I want to present the order approving the claims docket.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
The resolution authorizing interfund loans for the fiscal year end 9/30/23.
Need a motion? I will move. Need a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cumbus. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay. Then the resolution authorizing operating transfers for fiscal year end 9/30/23.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
That Mr. Ross?
Morris.
I'll second, that's fine. He can make the motion, I'll
Motion by
second.
Mr. Morris, seconded by Mr. Ross. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Human Resources, Ms. Krebs.
Good morning. The item I have before you is employee information.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Cumbus,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Bossarge. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a public hearing scheduled for 10 a.m., so we will not do that yet. Ditto for item 12, vicious animal public hearing. So we'll move down to item 13. Mr. Dalton, Cadence Insurance. Good morning.
This is going to be our casualty renewal, so it's all of our liability lines. Okay, pretty much everything other than property and work comp is in this package. So we're going to have auto liability, general liability, public officials liability, and law enforcement liability. Okay. If you will flip to page 3, we've got one change. It's actually in addition to your service team. You've got, of course, me, and you got Laurie McCray, and then Renee King is your claims person, and Lisa Butler handles all your any bonds that are needed for the county. We've added Donald McDowell in the past. Ms. Crew has been working with Lloyd Munn. He's out of Hattiesburg. We hired Donald. He lives down on the coast. He has municipality experience. It's going to be for our liability, but it's also going to be for our work comp when we have to cross that again, keep us safe on the work comp side of the house. Okay, so that's really the main change. We're going to have to stay with Massett again this year. Not that it's a bad thing. And so I just kind of included the proposal in here. I would turn to page 7 if you would. We've got 439. If you look, go down to Roman numeral 7. It says exposure rating basis 439. That's the number of vehicles that we have in total. Okay. We reconciled that, and we were off maybe 5 vehicles, okay? And then we've got, I think, another 20 that are getting ready to go to auction, okay? So when those get auctioned off, and with that reconciliation of the other 5 or 6, it'll save us somewhere around $3,300, okay? And the reason the premiums are so low on that is that we carry the county carries a $250,000 deductible on auto liability, okay? So we've got a high deductible to keep the premiums down on that piece, all right? So that was really one of the changes. Once those vehicles are sold, we'll revise the list, they'll come off, and we'll get the premium credit back, okay? So the pieces that we have coverage for, y'all tell me how deep how deep you want to go into it. On page 5, we've got Roman numeral 2 is our crime coverages, okay? That's somebody stealing money from the county, basically. That's an employee of the county. You then have general liability. That's somebody slipping and falling, okay? That has a $250,000 deductible. Once again, to keep the premiums down. We have Mr. Evans and his department in the legal defending us on any of those types of events, okay? Then we have the public officials on page 6, errors and omissions. That's for you guys, okay? Also wrapped up in that is employment practices liability. That's wrongful termination, sexual harassment, that type of stuff, okay? That carries a $100,000 deductible, all right? And then our autos, you'll see down on Roman numeral 5, that carries a $250,000 deductible, okay? This has got a $500,000 limit on auto liability unless it's something that's not covered under Tort Claims Act. Okay, our protection of the tort claims provides us safe harbor up to $500,000. We could be in Alabama and have a car wreck. One of our vehicles be in Alabama and have a car wreck, and they go, tort reform is really nice in Mississippi, but we don't recognize it here in Alabama. Therefore, that would bump our limit to $1 million there to give us a little extra protection. Okay. This package actually includes some cyber coverage as well, okay? So I'm still looking for some more cyber coverage. I talked to Mr. Tristani and some of those folks over there about what we have as far as safeguards. I feel pretty good about them. I think we might have maybe 1, maybe 2 a little bit older servers still in use, I think. But I feel fairly comfortable there, but if I can find a better deal, I will. But it costs us $10,000 a year, and the way cyber's going, that's much more expensive in the open market right now. Okay? Any questions so far? All right, I'm going to take you all the way back to page 32, because that's, so to speak, that's where the rubber meets the road. So the first piece is the Mississippi Association of Supervisors Insurance Trust. That's up a little bit this year, okay? I went back last week and asked for some pricing relief and got 0. If anybody can help me out on that piece, the help would be greatly appreciated. And then we have a marine general liability and marine operators for our boat slip rental. It's about $4,800. It's up a little. We've got Massett also includes some comp and collision on a few vehicles. And the reason that is it's required by FEMA that we carry, and it's not vehicle specific, it's department specific that FEMA paid money in Katrina, and they said you got to carry, if they paid $50,000 to the road department for vehicles, we have to assign full coverage to $50,000 worth of vehicles today, not the ones back then, okay? That's just how FEMA operates. We also have a hull and P&I, okay? That's our boats. That's all our boats. Hull is the comp and collision piece of boat coverage. P&I is the liability piece of that, okay? And then we've got some inland marine, which is our scheduled equipment, different pieces of equipment. Page 33.
Before you go.
Yes, sir.
Page 32, you said we're sticking with Massett.
Yes, sir.
You almost were regretful when you said that. Does that have anything to do with the 20% increase?
I'm not regretful to stay with them. I think they do a good job.
Okay.
They handle about 75 out of the 82 counties.
Okay.
They've always been good on claims. But I say, look at page 33, and I'll tell you why. I wasn't regretful having to stay with Massey.
Okay.
I was regretful that I didn't have anybody else to make Massey compete against this year.
There was no
Page
competition.
33.
There was no competition?
No, none this year. Travelers, because we have an in-house legal department, that gives them a little heartburn. They're used to controlling the claims more. But because we have an in-house legal department that defends all our claims, there'll be some workarounds. They always do this to me every year. They act like they want to take a run at it and then they don't. My big disappointment, you'll see Liberty Mutual, the second one on the list. They handle multiple schools for me right now. They've got a great schools program. They developed a program for counties and cities, but they evidently got the cart ahead of the horse when dealing with Mr. Cheney at the Department of Insurance. So they pulled the plug midstream on it. So that's really where my disappointment lies, or lay. That's why I'm disappointed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's not having to stay with Mr. Surratt and the folks at Massey.
So you're saying 20% increase looks reasonable?
In this market right now,
Yep.
yes, sir. The only thing we're seeing go down, and I think you'll see it if you hearken back to our conversations on work comp. And to me, I can't fathom why, but work comp premiums are going down as a general rule. Property is, especially down where we are, is going through the roof. This is taking an increase too, because Mr. Surratt has to go out and buy insurance over his program. And
The CRL, the county, the national organization that does reinsurance for counties is getting to where they're having a hard time buying that layered reinsurance. And the price of that's going through the roof. So the people that have the big money that insure the insurance companies are starting to pull out of the market.
Right.
And it's tightening everything up. So because of that, it's forcing us all to pay more.
that's right, it is. And we had some claims. I'm still reviewing some of these. I'm gonna send these loss runs to Mr. Evans. Because there's a couple that are on the loss runs that I don't say I disagree, I just don't know how they got where they are on their numbers. And I'll get with Mr. Evans on that and work those out. Okay? But that's pretty much it on this renewal.
So how much percentage have we went up, since you said you went down on some, but how much percentage did we go up?
Sir?
The percentage from last year to this year? I know COVID changed a lot of things, yeah.
There's a lot of factors moving in there. Between COVID, there's like Mr. Ross said, there's been the cost of everything's gone up, whether it be cost of construction, whether it be cost of the lawsuit. And it's just driving all the costs up. So we're up about 20% this year on this. Once again, my disappointment was not staying where we were. It's just that I didn't have a viable alternative to bring to the board to try to, with my partners, and they are my partner. I work for the county, but I have a good relationship with Mr. Surratt and folks at Massey. I'll always let him go, hey, this is what Liberty Mutual came in and said. Can you get close to it and match it, because we have a long-term relationship with you. And I just didn't have that I didn't have that card to play this year. Okay?
We need a motion on this
Yeah.
today?
Okay, the effective date is,
4/1.
so we do need to accept this.
Hey, Todd?
Yes, sir.
On this acceptance of proposal form, it has there that cyber insurance is specifically excluded when it's included. The second paragraph on page 36.
Well, I'm on page 8 right here. These are the coverages that we have. This is what we'll be signing right here.
Okay, well, I'm looking at this acceptance of proposal form
I
right
don't know
here.
why. That's our page.
says it's not included.
Well, we would check if we wanted.
If it's got a check by it, it's not included.
You can
The
initially.
paragraph above it says it's not included, and it says you initial by it to tell them that it's, to ensure that that's the case. But-
Probably just a typo, Mr.
But if we're not passing that one, that's fine. If we're passing the one at the front, okay.
Certainly, we all understand that short discussion.
Page 8's what you're passing.
Passing what's on page 8. Okay, and we have a motion by Mr. Cumbus. I will second it. Now, is there any discussion or further discussion or questions or comments? This will become effective at the renewal date, April the 1st. Okay, if there are none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Cumbus Taylor. So
You're right here, huh? In blue or in black? Doesn't matter. You want me to check anything?
I'll do the checking for you. I'll have print your name and all that if you want.
That says, trust me.
there you go.
Thank y'all.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, it's just past 9:30. We can go to item 14, the action items.
Yeah, we don't have much to report, but Brian is on the trip up to Jackson, and he did send out the legislative report late last week, so this will give you a full update on all the bills that we have in motion up there, so. And, Manning at Watkins and Eager is up there working hard for us, so.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to item number 15, supervisor items. Mr. Cumbus,
I didn't have any.
Mr. Morris.
Have anything?
I have none. Mr. Ross.
None.
Mr. Bosarge. Okay. We have an executive session scheduled, and I think we don't want to go into that now because I know that's going to take more than 30 minutes.
Take a recess
So-
until 10.
We got a couple of things we can handle in executive session, don't we, Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got, Joe's got one, I think Janet's got one.
Okay, well, let's do that, but to maintain location here, let's go into closed session back in the executive conference room. That way everyone can remain here without having to move out, so.
I'll make that motion.
So-
Taylor.
Mr. Cumbus has made a motion. We go into closed session to determine if we need to have an executive session. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. We are in closed session. Let's go to the rear. Well, I'll tell you what, it's 10:02. We probably need to get back into regular session. The executive session is over, so,
I just need to make an announcement. There was no action taken.
okay. Are we on?
Recording?
Yes.
You have to turn on. We ready? All right. There was no action taken in executive session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I got one. Who gave me one? Is it the same? It is.
Okay, and we now are back on our regular schedule. It is 10 o'clock. We have a menace to public health and safety public hearing, 10 a.m., 8805 Pickering Forest Road, Ocean Springs, Mississippi, 39564. PIDN number is 054-042-25.000.
Good morning. The item I have before you today is 8805 Pickering Forest Drive in Ocean Springs. It's owned by Bryson J. Dees II. As you can see from the photographs, this property is in pretty bad shape. We've been dealing with Mr. Dees since April of 2021, trying to get him to do something to this house, to either elevate it or repair it, or elevate it and repair it. Sorry. We've taken him to court. Well, we've issued 5 citations on this. In September of 2022, we tried Mr. Dees, and the judge ordered him 30 days to apply for an elevation permit, if not permitted, for the county to proceed with the menace case. So that's what we're doing today. We're proceeding with the menace case. We've talked to Mr. Dees off and on, and you know, it hasn't been productive at all. He's not very nice when we do talk, and but as you can see from the structure's in bad shape. It looks like it's a mobile home. It's got a frame under it, so I believe it's a mobile home that's been added on to years ago. It's been affected by water several times. As you can see, the plumbing coming out of the trailer is broken half there. I don't believe anybody's staying in the trailer. All the neighbors tell me that nobody's living in it. Of course, the D's tell me they are living in it. They keep a car there with an expired tag on it, is what the neighbors tell me, to make it look like they're living on the property. But it's definitely a menace to public health and safety. We've got sewer on the ground. We've got basically a dilapidated structure. We ran a SDE on this, which is a substantial damage estimator. And we came up with the structure, the value of the structure based on the tax records at being $21,140. And we add 25% to that, which is what Nick Elmore tells us to add to get the correct value of the structure. We've got it assessed at only $13,000 that they could spend on this without having to elevate it, and it's way more than $13,000 worth of work that needs to be done on this. So we're asking the county to declare it a menace, and so we can remove it from the property.
Mr. Custer, I see you got power. I see the lights on. You got power too?
It does have power, yes, sir, it does.
But no one stays there though. You just got power on.
The neighbors tell me that nobody stays in the property. Of course, we had an inspection warrant to go out and inspect the property. We inspected the outside of the property, and every time we went by, nobody was ever there to let us inside the property. Of course, it is in an AE flood zone. It's right on the bayou. It's got a 16-foot elevation requirement there. And you can see the foundation under this. It's not much of a foundation at all. It looks like somebody just blocked it up. How it ever got there like that is beyond me. But
it's innovative.
It's definitely something that we need to rectify.
Well, is the gentleman here to address? All right, would y'all like to come forward, please? And
A lot of that, he just says a bunch of lies.
well, sir, come on up, identify yourself, and then we'll talk about lies.
yes, the outside of the house doesn't need to be
Identify
repaired.
yourself first, please.
Huh?
Tell us who you are and where you live.
Bryson John Dees II, 8805 Pickering Forest Drive, Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
And I'm Visa Dees, 8805 Pickering First Drive, Ocean Spring, Mississippi, and I'm living in the house.
Well, now, before you go on, we have been told that people say no one is living there, and you're telling us you're living there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
I'm living there.
Okay.
Well, here's an easier question that I can explain. If she's not living there, why is she receiving food stamps? If she doesn't have the residence that she's supposed to be in?
I'm paying the bills every month, the water and the electric. We got one neighbor. That's all, and I don't have nothing to do with her. I see her kids playing with the other kids, but that's it. I mean,
But, okay, yes, the
I
outside of the
didn't-
house needs to be reestablished. It has plywood falling off of it. But I've had stomach surgery and everything else. How am I supposed to get out there and hold an 8-foot piece of plywood up against the wall and screw it in when I've had stomach surgery? Okay, I got a brother, yeah. I got two of them, one in Chicago and one in Michigan. I guess if they could get off of work or something, yeah, they could come down and help me do this. But being on disability, I'm supposed to go ahead and find somebody, pay them to come out there and help me do this.
Well,
But
I
how
think-
is it a health hazard to the people around me?
I think part of the answer to that question is you are expected as a citizen of the county to maintain your property in accordance with the codes that we have.
It is mowed, it is weed eaten, even the bayou is done.
Even the bayou what?
Even the bayou is cleaned up around it, so you can ride by in a boat and see the property. My house ain't in the best of shape, but my property is kept up. And a matter of fact, I pay a gentleman $250 to keep my property kept up.
Per what? Per month?
No, every 2
Well-
weeks he goes out there and cleans my property and mows it.
we pay him $250, but he comes out and keeps the property. Because the Ryan lawnmower we had is not working, so we had to get somebody to help clean it up.
Yes, these pictures are taken, and there's no trespassing signs. It seems like he's been out and underneath my house and everything else. Yes, there's a lot of things that could come off that porch.
And I've
But I
never,
guess it's not against the law to go on people's property.
and I've never seen no paperwork stating they come out to do an inspection or anything.
You agree or disagree that you've been issued 5 citations?
I know we've had a couple of citations. This started off in 2021 as a travel trailer on the easement.
That was after
Mr.
Zeta.
Barlow is the one that citation for it, wrote the citation. I'm not allowed to speak to Mr. Barlow. I tried to speak to Mr. Barlow. Mr. Catchett is the one who goes, well, I'm the supervisor. You'll speak to me. I want to speak to Mr. Barlow about it.
We brought the paperwork in. The citation said that the travel trailer was in the easement of the county. We moved it. Then the citation said that we had no power and water, which y'all got pictures of.
We've had
That
power
was
and
taken
water.
care of. That was the first citation. Then the second citation was that we had a choice to either raise it or tear it down. There was no repair work. It was either one or the other. And that
It's-
was done by Mr. Ketchum.
It's raise it, move it, or tear it down. That's all I
Now,
was getting.
Under disability, you look up on how much it costs to either raise that house and everything else. It's close to $50,000. I get less than $1,500 a month. By the time I pay bills and stuff like that, how high do you think I can get that within the time limit?
Regarding that citation, tell us what you've done.
I haven't had a chance. I just got released from the doctor. Matter of fact, I have to go back at 3 o'clock today because I'm leaking through my belly button of biofluids.
Okay.
So I've either tore something trying to adjust stuff at the house and get it situated, but, you know, that don't matter. And like he says, it don't matter if he kicks somebody out of the property and tears the house down. It don't make a difference.
Have you had any discussion with Mr. Ketchot
Oh,
about,
yeah, I've had a
about a
discussion with him
plan,
about it,
a
and-
plan
but
to
I-
Hold it, hold
come
it, hold
under
it. One
code?
person needs to talk at a time so
Have
we
you
can
had
get it
any,
recorded.
have you had any discussion with our planning department on how to get your property back into code? Yes or no?
No, he has not told me. He give me two choices: tear it down or raise it. That was it. That
There
the
was a
only
third
decision.
choice a while ago. You said repair it.
No, he said repair it. I said I could repair it.
So
But
you're,
he didn't say nothing about repairing.
so your answer to the planning department is, I'm not gonna do anything that you told me to do. Is that correct?
I have no chance of getting it raised, okay? I have not got the money to be able to raise it to the elevation that it has to be, unless I can find somebody that will work with me on payments or something like that. There's just not a possible way. Now, repairing it, yes, I have all kinds of ways to get it repaired, but that was not an option given to me. Then when I told him when I was coming, found out I had another citation to appear in court. I was told by Mr. Ketchot over the phone that if I appeared back in the state of Mississippi, he was putting a bench warrant out for my arrest. So, on my point, I'm in the University of Michigan's hospital. What do I do? So I contacted my wife and had her come to the court and talk to the judge.
Now, on some of the citations, did you appear, do any improvements on, you were saying some of them, he said he's not telling the truth, but on some of the citations, did you do any work or anything to improve?
I've been out of the state due to my stomach surgery.
How long ago that's been?
It's been since April. I just now got released to come back. I started doing stuff and now I'm leaking through my belly. So I don't know if I have tore something. I won't know that until I go to the doctor in a little while. I tried to go to the doctor this morning, but he could not get me in. He gave me a choice to go to the emergency, which then I would end up missing this.
So what I'm asking, though, you got 5 citations, so how many times you got citation? 5 times, and how many years?
Well, the first few citations was on a travel trailer that was on the easement. It wasn't, nothing was said about this house until 2022.
It changed from the power in the travel trailer to the house. And it has escalated to this now.
In 2021, when we first got the first citation, we came up here. I want to speak to Mr. Barlow. He said it was about the travel trailer on the easement. They said we had no power, no water. The lady pulled out the picture. There's the power on. I said, we have water. There's the bill. Okay, everything's taken care of. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Okay, we didn't hear a thing about it. Then we get another one, I think, August, September. I said, we came up here. I said, we already took care of the travel trailer. It is off the easement. Okay, we didn't hear nothing again until 2022.
And then it's the house.
And now it's the house.
But you know, the main issue is the house doesn't conform to our current base flood elevation policy. So that's the reason why you have to do something with the house. It doesn't conform. It needs to be raised. You're probably not going to qualify, and this is not us, this is FEMA. This is FEMA and MEMA regulations. If the house repairs are 50% more than what the house is worth, then you got to tear it down. You have no choice.
I got flood insurance through FEMA. FEMA came out and looked at the house.
All right, so.
They said I didn't have to raise it.
Did you make a claim on that flood insurance?
No.
So you've had flood insurance, but you never made a
No,
claim?
we didn't have flood insurance till after Zeta because the house didn't flood.
The house didn't flood.
Okay, all right, well.
There's a clause in flood insurance.
There is.
You've got an ICC clause. It's called increased cost of compliance. If you're not compliant, they'll give you up to $30,000 to elevate your home.
Right. That's what I was just fixing to tell you. There is some grant out there, grant monies out there through FEMA and some other organizations that will raise your house for you. So the main thing is FEMA and the other regulators want you in compliance. They don't want you below the BFE. They want you at or above it. So there is monies out there to do that. But
Just to clarify some things though, I had an inspection warrant to go on their property signed by the judge, so I was legal to go on their property. I have the actual citation going with this that Mr. Barlow issued, and I don't think there's anything about a camper trailer on that citation. I met with the deeds the first time that they came to court. I explained the situation to them. I told them exactly what they needed to do to become in compliance, which was elevate their home, move their home somewhere else, or demolish it. I gave them the options. They knew right then what the options are. And plus, if you're living in a house, you see that broken sewer pipe? I mean, where's your sewer going if you're living in that house? Plus, it was dry. It wasn't wet.
Right.
So, every time I talked to Mr. Dees, he was there the first time I talked to him. Every time I talked to him since, he's been in Michigan. So I really doubt that anybody's living in that house.
Oh, I'm living in the house. But that pipe that you're talking about, that pipe been like that since Katrina.
That's the main sewer pipe coming out of the house. The picture is there for that.
Let me call a timeout for a moment. Are the parties here for the 10:15 public hearing? Are they?
That's Joe. That's,
appellate in that case, and he's wanting to reschedule. I think we need to present an abstention, to be honest with you.
Okay, so can we continue with this without?
yeah, Joe works for us.
Okay,
so-
okay.
Can I say something? Okay, the first citation we get, he says it's not on the travel trailer. When we went up there, the lady behind the counter, when we were trying to speak to Barlow, goes, oh, no, that's not on your property, that's a mistake. It's either on the one that was demolished already, or the one that was already fell down. And that's what we were told. There was confusion. That's not on our property. That's a travel trailer we need moved.
That was a prior case. This is a different.
Okay, this is what we gotta do. Marcus, please just take a seat for a second until we get through with them, and then you can come back up. We can't, and the reason we can't keep going back and forth because we don't have a court reporter saying who's speaking at what time. So right now, we're speaking with you, okay? All right, Mr. Taylor.
Who else wants to question or comment?
Well, if you've noticed, we've cleaned up a lot of properties down there on Pickering Forest.
Yes.
And so, you know, that house has been like that since I've been in office. So, you know, it comes a time where we have to get things taken care of, and that's a property that needs to be taken care of. So, you know, we give the other property owners the chance to elevate and get in compliance, and they chose to have it tore down. So that's what we've done. So your property's in the same position, and it's a detriment to property values down there, and so therefore, you know, that's the reason why you're here today.
And I'm just trying to figure out where am I supposed to go while getting this done? I can't get an apartment. I can't get a house. We don't make enough money.
There's plenty of organizations out there
I've tried.
that'll help. Well,
I tried.
That's
what I've been doing for the last year, is trying to find help to get somewhere so we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you, how long do I get to raise it or do whatever you're talking about?
well, in my opinion, you've had plenty of time to do that, but if, you know, depends on the board. If they want to give you some more time, that's fine, but, you know, it's got to be something done within that time frame. So if we actually give you some more time, then if it's not done, then we're going to have to take.
So what has to be done? Can we fix the house
He
up the
just
way
told
it
you
is?
It has to be raised.
It has to be elevated.
Has to be elevated.
But there again, I don't think you're going to qualify for the value of the home versus so like I said, there's a 50% rule. So that means if your house is not, like right now, you probably only valued at about $20,000. So there's no way just raising it's going to cost $30,000 easy. And then you've got all the other repairs. So therefore, you're not going to qualify to make the repairs on the house under the FEMA guidelines. It's too much damage to repair versus what it's worth. So and there again, you might not be able to raise that. You know, you might have too much structural damage to raise it. You know, with all that plywood decayed and stuff like it is, I guarantee you them walls and them wall plates are probably severely damaged, and they're probably severely decayed. I'm a contractor by trade, so I can tell you I've already looked at this house several times, and because it was on my list for that area, you know. So I've had to come on your property. I can look from the street and just about tell you what's wrong with the house, because I've been doing this for 25 plus years. So, you know, to me, I don't think the house is even structurally sound to raise, to tell you the truth. So, but We just gotta clean up the area. You know, Gulf Park Estates has been victimized with derelict properties and houses and stuff for all these years. And we've cleaned up about 20-something properties since I've been in office. So, and we identified over 40 down there when I first got in office. So we're gonna continue to do what we gotta do to clean the place up. So, I just don't think that house is livable. I don't. You might be living in it, and that's fine, you know, but.
Because that's the only place I have to live.
I don't think it's livable. So, but there is some other organizations out here that can help you, you know.
Somebody needs to give me a list of them, because I have tried everything. I tried the Red Cross, I've tried.
Well, Red Cross is only for disaster
Well,
help.
I've tried to see if they can give me ideas where to go. I went to, whatever the place over here in Pascagoula for Section 8 and all. Well, they don't do any of that. They can't give me numbers. I went to Habitat for Humanity even. I need to know these organizations.
All right.
Because I've tried. I mean, I've been putting in, I put in for FEMA. I mean, it takes more than 30 days to get, you know, something put in and a response back. And it's like every 30 days he was having me in a courtroom. Well, did you find out? No, I haven't found anything out. It takes longer than 30 days to get an answer from these people after you submit something. I mean, you just can't do it 30 days.
But that structure's been like that for quite a while, so.
That structure's been like that since Katrina.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's been like that for the 7 years I've been in office. So,
We got the house from his dad
yeah,
when he passed away.
yeah. So something's gotta be done with it. And, it's just, you know, it's just not in shape to raise. I can just tell you that now. I don't even think the grant people would qualify to raise once they come out and did an inspection to raise it. I don't think they'd even qualify to raise. So it's just, you got a lot of foundation damage there. And if it's been flooded multiple times, there's gonna be a lot of decay underneath there that you can't see until you get into it. So, but, I'll be glad to help you. I'll be glad to help you find an organization to help you.
Yes.
Habitat would be the first place I'd start because that's what they do. So.
And the thing is with Habitat, yeah, they'll come and put something on there. Then I owe a mortgage.
Yeah.
We don't have the money for a mortgage.
Yeah, I get that. All right.
Does the board have any other questions of the Ds? Okay, Marcus, what you got?
Okay, I'll be glad to answer any questions. I think I've pretty much told you everything that we've done there. Of course, like I said, we've done everything by the book. We've issued the citations. We've tried them in court. The judge ordered them to elevate the home or demolish it and gave them 30 days to do that. They didn't do it within that time period. And then his order was also, if they didn't, for us to move forward with this process. That's what we're doing now. I 100% agree with Mr. Beaucharge on his assessment. We've been out to the property, we've looked under it, we've fully assessed it, and there's pictures there to prove it. And it's definitely a menace. It needs to be either removed, elevated, or demolished.
I just don't think the foundation's gonna handle an elevation.
I don't think so either.
Without going over the 50% rule.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And you know, we've dealt with the Ds for going on 2 years now, and you know, they've had every opportunity in the world to do something. I had them in court. I explained what to do, what they needed to do, and every time we've been out to their property, even when we went out for the inspection warrant, we left a notice on the property, on the door of the property. So we've notified them. We've talked to them on the phone, and it just got to a point where they didn't want to talk anymore. They just wanted to argue, and so we just had to move on.
Which judge ordered them to elevate it?
Judge Watts.
Has he had a reaction to their lack of?
No, sir, because his order was, it gives them 30 days to either pull a permit to elevate the home, demolish the home, remove the home, or the county will move to the menace process. So we didn't go back to the judge. That the order was to move to the menace process if they did not Yes.
that 30 days has expired. Sir,
Oh, yes,
ma'am,
sir.
please sit down, be quiet.
That was, that order was back in September of last year.
Okay. Well, it looks like a very tough decision. If we say go ahead and demolish, then we're going to put a couple of people in without a home, and that's a tough decision to make. There has been zero good faith shown by the individuals, and I don't know that an extension is going to help anything. So it puts us in a tough position.
And there again, like I always say, once this is declared, it'll have to go out for bid. It takes a while. It's probably about a 45-day process. And that gives the Ds a little time to, if they wanted to get somebody to move that structure somewhere and then, somewhere that's not a flood zone, then pull a permit to repair it, they could possibly do that. Or if they want to demolish it themselves, or if they can come up with a plan to elevate it between now and then. I mean, we could definitely stop this process at that time.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept the planning commission's recommendation on declaring it a menace to public health.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Cumbus. Is there any discussion, further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? No one's opposed, it's unanimous, so we're kicking the process off. And certainly, the Ds will have the opportunity to show some good faith by taking some action. Okay, we now have another public hearing scheduled for 10:15 that I think people want to reschedule. Vicious animal public hearing.
Yes.
I think you wanted to go forward with it, didn't you?
Yeah, you wanna go forward with it.
I'd like to be able to get this from you guys. Okay.
Speak at the podium there.
Okay. Let me,
This is Joe Barlow for the record.
Yeah. Animal Control Director.
Yep.
yes, I'm gonna pass out some documents. I would like to request the contents of this to be entered into the record.
Sound like a lawyer.
I wonder where he got that one.
Okay, I've got to have one. Thanks. You want to just give it to me when you're done?
So,
Okay, before you start, Joe, you stated that the man wanted to have a continuance this morning. It was my understanding Friday afternoon, late when I talked to you, he was demanding a hearing this morning. Is that correct?
that is absolutely correct, and the phone call came into my staff at the shelter at 10:15, which is the time that this hearing was scheduled to begin. I'd like to move forward and go ahead, like I stated, and put this in front of you guys so you can be familiar with it, because I'm not sure that we certainly hadn't heard the end of it.
What was the reason they gave you that they wanted this matter continued?
Did I get one? Okay. So, the reason we're here is that Mr. Raymond Elias of 1632 Porter Street in Ocean Springs has appealed a vicious determination that was issued and delivered by Officer Anthony Malis on a dog owned by Mr. Elias and maintained and resides also with the property at 1632 Porter Street. What you're going to see in those documents there, this vicious determination that was issued on February the 22nd was a result of not one but two incidents involving the dog owned by Mr. Elias. For the record, the dog's name is Trash Can, and the dog is a approximately 5-year-old brown and white red-nosed American Pit Bull Terrier. On January the 1st, which is your first packet, incident 1, what you'll see is that Mr. Elias was present on his property that fronts onto Porpoise Street. Outside for the dog, a young man, 12-year-old kid named Christopher McCarty, is walking down the street the dog breaks containment, and at that time, injured the child by biting him on the cat. And that's incident one. I'll draw your attention to the photo included there. The photo doesn't do it justice, but that was a relatively minor bite. It looks like a pull and a tear. We did not issue a vicious determination after that incident. There had been no priors on this dog. There were no prior reports of it being in violation of our leash law. There were no prior reports of any aggression whatsoever from this dog up until this point. And we then, at that time, following incident one, there's a yellow tab on the first packet, and there's a letter there where we made some recommendations to Mr. Elias in my office on January the 5th on proper containment to avoid any further episodes of this nature. And he has signed off on that and agreed to try to abide by those.
Mr. Barlow, let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
You said that the dog broke containment. How was he contained to begin with?
When I say broke containment, that may be misspeaking. The dog, in both the first and second instances, we don't have clarity on whether the dog was leashed in either one of those. On the first event, it appears, from what we can learn, that the dog just took running from the porch area and went out into the edge of the street. And that is also very consistent with the second incident. So I bring your attention to the packet marked Incident 2. These are in the same sequence. There'll be a SO report, Jackson County Animal Control report, and then I'll go ahead, if you hadn't already flipped through those, and warn you that these are kind of graphic.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so here's where it gets a little weird. Second incident takes place under almost exactly the same circumstances. Mr. Elias is present on his property in his porch area. He indicates to the officer that the dog was leashed and broke his containment at this time. Child was walking down the street, and guess what? Yes, it's the same young man. And this time it gets really, really bad. And so, as you can see from the photos there, we felt like, okay, it's time to pull the trigger on a vicious determination for this animal. In all fairness, what you're probably going to hear from Mr. Elias at some point is that he feels like the child has been taunting the dog, or that there was some question about whether it was on his property or just on the side of the roadway. And at this point, our contention is that it's immaterial. We've got a dog that was free to do this twice, despite our request made after the first bite. And so, in a nutshell, I'm just going to kind of wrap up and just humbly request that you guys ratify this ruling that we've made, deeming the dog vicious, and let's have him comply with the standards they're in to keep this from happening again.
Joe, for the record, two of the neighbors, one of them that I called you on when all this first happened, two of the neighbors, well, they won't testify, but the dog just sits on the porch and doesn't, he's not restrained. He just sits on the front porch.
Yeah. Barlow, why is Mr. Elias not here to speak on this?
He's called my staff this morning at the shelter and indicated he couldn't be here. I'm unclear as to why, but he called at 10:15, which was the time the meeting was set. So while we're here, we just want to go ahead and put this case in front of you.
Joe, in both instances, the victim was in the roadway, to the best of our knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, Gary, the photos from the second indicate the child was laid prone in the roadway. Again, not a lot of good witnesses on this. Tony and I have worked hard to try to get some clarity on that. There's no video that we could find. There was a child present with the young man on the second occurrence, been unable to locate him. Officer Malis's efforts to run down the witness that's listed in that report has hit a dead end with a bad phone number and a bad address. So, I think Tony, did I miss anything? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I'll make a motion to approve the animal shelter director's recommendation on the dog, on the vicious animal complaint.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Cumbus. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries unanimously. And Gary, we're comfortable that the letter was adequate to advise the Leah people that they should be here this morning.
And there was letters, there's been a lot of discussion, is my understanding, with the animal shelter people.
Okay, well, we have voted, and we'll move on.
Joe, great report package, I love it. Thank you. It looks good. Looks
Very
good.
thorough.
Very informative. Thank you.
Okay, we have accomplished everything on the agenda. We are now back in item number 17, or 16. We need a motion to go into closed session to determine the need for an executive session.
So moved.
By Mr. Morris, I'll second it. Any discussion? Not all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. We are in executive session.
No, we're in closed determination. Y'all can stay here, though.